Questions to the Holy Father Pope Francis in the last World Youth Day in Portugal by the Jesuits. Hello, Holy Father. My name is Basco. I study philosophy. I am the youngest in the province, and that is why I was asked to speak first. The last will be first. I would like to ask you a question. Faced with the challenges of our generation, looking at our sexualized consumerist society, according to our experience as a Jesuit, do you think our formation is structured to face these challenges, and how can we always best take care of our formation as Jesuits at the affective, sexual, bodily levels? Pope Francis: you're actually asking to question, aren't you? In fact, one statement and one question. We live in a worldly society, which worries me a lot. It worries me when worldliness makes its way into consecrated life. Just today, a letter I wrote to the priest of Rome about clericalism, which is a form of worldliness, was made public. Look, spiritual worldliness is an often recurring pitfall. You have to learn to distinguish. It is one thing to prepare for dialogue with the world, as you do with dialogue with the worlds of art and culture. It is another thing to compromise yourself with the things of the world with worldliness. I was deeply struck by the conclusion of a book by Father de Lubac, the French theologian, Jesuit, and appointed cardinal. He dedicates the final 4 pages of Meditation on the Church, it's only 4 pages, read it, to spiritual worldliness. Have you who do this discernment ever questioned yourselves about your own personal spiritual worldliness? Am I worldly spiritually? That is a question I leave you with. And do you know what de Lubac says? He says that this is the worst evil that can penetrate the Church, worse even than in the area of the libertine popes of the past ages. Be careful, thou. We need to dialogue with the world, for we can't live as though preserved like pickled food. We must not be introverted religionists, smiling inwardly, talking inwardly, protecting our environment without engaging with anyone. We have to go out into this world with its values and faults. And in a way, you pointed out the problem of the easy life, the bourgeois life, even an eroticized life, as you call it, and it's true. This past year, I gave a speech, or rather I spoke briefly and then they asked questions to all the priests working in the Koya. Most of them are young, and at what point I said to them, here is something that hasn't been mentioned: the use of cell phones and pornography on cell phones. How many of you watch pornography on your cell phones? After I said that, they told me that one commented, you can see that he has spent hours in the confessional. When I was a novice, they used to talk to us about chastity, holy chastity. They used to ask us not to be looking at pictures that were a little bit racy. I mean, those were other times when the problems were not so acute and when, moreover, they were hidden. Today, thanks to God, the door is wide open and there is no reason for problems to remain hidden. If you hide your problems, it is because you choose to do so, but it is not the fault of society or even your religious community. That's one of the current virtues the society has. It does not shove problems, it talks about them. You talk both with your superiors and among yourselves. Today, the serious problem is about the hidden refuges of self-seeking, which many times involve sexuality, but also other matters. What to do? I find help in the examination of conscience. As St. Ignatius asked, St. Ignatius dispensed from this obligation very rarely. He dispensed you from prayer if you were sick, if you couldn't pray, but he didn't dispense you from the examination of conscience, because its aim is to see what's going on inside you. And there are consecrated people who have their hearts exposed to the four winds, with their windows open, their doors open. In short, they have no internal consistency. To what you ask, I answer, ask yourself a question. What spirit moves me? What is the spirit that habitually moves me? And which one moves me today or moved me that other day? I am not afraid of sexualized society. No, I am afraid of how we relate to it. I am afraid of worldly criteria. I prefer to use the term worldly rather than sexualized because the term encompasses everything. For example, the eagerness to promote oneself, the eagerness to stand out, or as we say in Argentina, to climb. Remember that those who climb end up hurting themselves. My grandmother, who was a wise old woman, told us one day, in life you have to progress, buy land, bricks, a house. Clear words, they came from the experience of an immigrant. Dad was an immigrant too, but don't confuse progressing. Grandma added, with climbing, in fact, he who climbs goes up, up, up. And instead of having a house, setting up a business, working or getting a position, when he is at the top, the only thing he shows is his butt. This is popular wisdom.